Christians, make Egypt great again. This should be my last message completing this series. And we come to the end where when Pharaoh had decided or realized that the Hebrew midwives would not turn against their own people to slay all of the male boys that were born, he then resorted to something different, a new tactic. And we see it in Exodus chapter 1 in verse 22. But let me start with verse 21 where it says, "And so it was, because the midwives feared God, he provided households for them." But the reasons why the midwives did not comply with Pharaoh is because they feared God. But in verse 22, Pharaoh, his desperation has reached fever pitch. And it says, "So Pharaoh commanded all of his people, saying, every son who is born, you shall cast into the river, the Nile River that is, and every daughter you shall save alive." So here's what happens. He tried two different degrees of intense bondage to put on the people of Israel to stop them from growing and to stifle their population. That didn't work. The more he did, the more they grew. So then he tried to recruit two Israelite Hebrew midwives to take the lives of the boys that were born who were their flesh and blood. They feared God and refused to do it and told Pharaoh a lie when he asked them why they didn't do it. So then, now, and so as a result of them not acting on his behalf, the people of Israel continue to increase. So now we come to his next effort. Verse 22, "So Pharaoh commanded all of his people, saying, every son who is born, you shall cast into the Nile River, and every daughter you will save alive." So what's happening now is this. He couldn't get the Israelites to turn on themselves. So now he finally decided there's nothing left for him to do but to tell his own soldiers, not even his own soldiers, but the Egyptian people as a whole. He tells them, when you see a son of these Israelites, if you see a boy of these Israelites, grab them up and toss them into the Nile River so that they perish. This was his last plan that he hatched as a result of his frustration by the midwives, telling his people to go and slay these boys wherever they should find them. No doubt this became a very, very bloody, cruel campaign. But he felt that he was doing what was in the best interest of Egypt. In order for us to make Egypt great again, he convinces his own people that they must slay all of the males, the male children born to the Israelites. So in effect, you had these Egyptian people, these Egyptian men, going about and basically snatching these babies from the arms of their Hebrew mothers and tossing them into the Nile River. It's unbelievable. The depths to which tyrannical people obsessed with persecution will go to accomplish their own ends. But most of the real suffering that Christians undergo, and even non-Christian people who undergo suffering and oppression and cruelty from governments, in general, these things have been, these obsessions and these burdens and these cruelties are generally the result of establishing hypothetical grounds or creating or manufacturing offenses that did not exist. This is what always happens. Tyrannical people that want to oppress, they will manufacture and create offenses that do not exist in order to justify what they want to do. Remember, the Lord Jesus Christ himself was innocent, but yet he was crucified for insurrection. It was a manufactured and a hypothetical scenario which cannot be proven. And there was nothing to indicate that he was going to oppose the Roman rule and authority. And that was evident by Herod and Pilate. And so none of them wanted to crucify Christ. It was the Israelites that wanted to crucify him. But relentlessly ruthless persecutors, they proceed from all of these secret ways of craft and subtlety, and they go from that, these secret subtleties, they go from that to making progress, which turns into just all in out open cruelty and downright life extinguishing practices. Wicked. And they do this when their previous strategies have failed. So whenever their strategies fail, they keep amping things up. But the result that they attain for is never realized. Look at every real tyrannical person in our history and see what their demise has been, especially when God's people were caught up in the violent foray. Make Egypt great again. They went on for over 400 years oppressing the people of Israel. They went on for 400 years of trying to extinguish the Israelites in Egypt. But how did it end? It ended by them receiving the very destruction upon themselves that they sought to have imposed on Israel. Their demise caused them to end up drowning in the Red Sea. When God's patience had finally reached its peak, Pharaoh's army chased Israel into the wilderness to the Red Sea, where they believed they had them cornered. And God used Moses to raise his hands with the staff in his hand and to split the Red Sea. And the Israelites walked through on dry ground. And the arrogance of the Egyptian armies, the arrogance of this tyrannical, authoritarian, dictatorial ruler, seeing the walls of the Red Sea on two sides and seeing the Hebrew Israelites walking through on dry ground, proceeded to follow them in after seeing this great sea split. And it says that when all of the Israelites crossed over on dry land, then the cloud that kept the Israelites or the Egyptians from following them in was removed, and they went in head first after them. And when they were all in the Red Sea, when they were all at the ground level of the Red Sea, God allowed the Red Sea at the hands of Moses to fall upon and to collapse upon the Egyptians, and they all died. 600,000 charioteers. Make no mistake about it. Every oppressor, every tyrannical person, every evil, cruel person that does cruel and tyrannical things to people will meet the same fate. Be provoked and be persuaded.